welcome back. Our next guest is Mr. Don Kramer. He's the founder and CEO of One Senior Place here in Florida. And he revolutionized the way American shops for elderly care and services. All right, now I'm going to dump on you. Where do you start on this concept?
Well, One Senior Place is a concept. It's very concept-driven. We didn't start with a building and see what we could put in it. We started with an idea about 5 years ago about, it was a reaction to what we came to understand from our previous business. We have an in-home senior care business as well. We take care of seniors in their homes in several counties in Florida. And we saw that the need for senior care and services and information seemed to come in clusters. It wasn't just somebody didn't just need a companion a few hours a week. They might need that, or they might have broken a hip and needed hospitalization and rehab, and then physical therapy and some kind of appliance to walk with, and so on. So, and we felt that those needs were being very poorly met. But as you know, in Florida, there's an enormous growth of seniors. Just in some counties, it's in the 20% a year range, and that's mind-boggling.
So, in other words, if you needed something for your parents, it was kind of helter-skelter all over the area. So what you did, you consolidated.
That's right. You get thrown in the tender mercies of the senior care system, and basically, your need is it's an emergency, and the first person that comes along and makes a suggestion often is what you do. And that could be someone who doesn't know very well, could be your minister, your physician, who most people would think would know, but they don't. They want to help, but they don't know that industry well. And so often you get bad advice, not necessarily intentionally, or you flip through the yellow pages, and whoever you call, they're going to be your solution. So we didn't think the needs were being very well met. At the same time, from the business side, there's an enormous need, but it's very hard to compete and get in front of those consumers at the time of need.
So now what did you consolidate?
Well, what we did was we thought that the connection between those two groups was where we saw an opportunity. So we built a building in Central Florida. It's a 13,000 square foot building, and we call it One Senior Place. We have a resource library there. We provide...
a resource library, I mean books for people to learn about being...
That's exactly right. It's a large resource library in our building. It's not part of the public library system, but it is open to the public. It's free, like everything else that we provide directly at One Senior Place. It's all free. There are computers in there that folks can come in and use to go on the internet to do research. We have books. We have thousands of brochures and white papers, and also you can access our website from there. And we have, just in our county alone, we have over 700 businesses, nonprofits, government agencies, everybody really who has any bona fide thing to offer seniors, we list on our website and in our library.
All right, now what else is in there?
Okay, we provide free counseling. Anyone just for the asking can call or come in and sit down with our elder care manager and get a free consultation. Anywhere from an hour, hour and a half. We average about 4 of these a day now, and those folks almost always are need-driven. They're in there because they or their folks have some kind of an issue.
They hit some form of a crisis.
That's exactly right.
So now they come in, and you have a form or a system, and you interview them and figure out which way the directions are going to go.
Yes, they sit down one-on-one or with a small family group and our care manager, and she will ask them questions that to a professional in the industry seem relatively simple, but just like when you had your first kids, you're an amateur parent, and people are amateur when it comes to aging well or to taking care of their parents. So Donna, our care manager, will ask them, do you have advance directives? Do you have a living will? How will you pay for your care? Where would you like to live? Just the basic things like that. And what's your need now? Why are you here today? And then she'll make suggestions, help them develop strategies, refer them to professionals who can help them, tell them what potholes to avoid, things to watch out for, and those sessions are...
So the do's and the don'ts are a big thing.
That's what it is.
Wow. Now you have stores there also?
Yes, we do. We have about a dozen so far. We've been open a little over a year.
A dozen?
Yep.
Stores?
We have stores. If you could think of One Senior Place as a bit like a mall. It's smaller than your metropolitan mall.
Do you have to be over 55 to get in? Or
no. But we have had people that open the door and they won't set foot on the tile until they yell across to the receptionist, "How old do I have to be before I can come in?"
I thought I don't. People gotta qualify themselves.
But we'll let anybody in. But most of our customers are either seniors or their adult children who are helping to care for them or plan for them.
Okay. Now the stores. What kind of stores are in there?
We have a hospice in there. We have a private duty home care agency.
Hospice? Hold on there. What's a hospice now?
Well, hospice provides end-of-life care. So I guess I shouldn't have started with that. But we provide a
I
full...
don't know how that would fit in there, but okay, we'll get into that one.
Because end-of-life care is very important to seniors. Hopefully not soon.
What does the hospice section do? Or
Well,
store?
if you're familiar with hospice, they've been around for many years.
Yes.
Our hospice is Vitas Hospice, which is the oldest hospice in the United States, and they just have an office there, and folks can come in if, say, their parents they have a terminal disease or they have chronic pain issues, and they're typically within 6 months of the end of life.
So it's another consulting type of a thing. They
Absolutely.
come in there and they set that up.
We deliver no services there.
Okay.
All the businesses there. It's a business community.
All right. Now the next door.
I beg your pardon?
Wheelchairs or what?
We do. We have a hearing aid store. We have a private duty home care agency. We have an elder law attorney.
Slow down. You have a hearing aid store?
Yes.
Just for that only?
That's correct.
All right.
Because people who visit One Senior Place are very good prospects for hearing aids.
Okay, that would make sense. All
and
right.
the lady who runs that business, she worked for her boss, and then she did very well, and she bought the business from him, and she loves where she is because typically people walk by, the couple will look in the window, and the wife will go, "I've been telling you for 10 years to get your hearing checked, and while we're here," and
she will do that.
She'll drag them in, and
Okay.
she'll do the hearing aid.
All right, so that's
check on the
number two. We
spot.
did the hospice and we did the hearing aids. Now what about an optometrist?
There is no optometrist. There's
Optometrist.
an optometrist next door, and we're right in the heart of the Vieira Medical District.
So you're
and
right
we're
there.
surrounded by physicians and eye doctors, and
So they just point out the window, go there.
that's right. We often refer to our neighbors, and we don't have. We're not a doctor building. That's
Yeah.
one thing that another misconception people have about us. We are everything else that a senior might need, but we don't. We're not full of doctors. We refer to doctors, and we invite them to refer to us.
All right, now appliances. I guess is the word you would call them, appliances.
Oh, we have a space that we hope someday to lease to a durable medical equipment supplier where people can get their wheelchairs and scooters. That place is currently not leased. We're holding that. We're holding that space. It was specially designed for that type of business. We're holding that out, and really, what everyone's waiting on is for Medicare to make up their mind because it's a current event, but Medicare, how Medicare is going to reimburse, and that's every time somebody passes wind in Washington, all the Medicare businesses get realigned, and so that's currently happening in durable medical equipment.
You mean in that area, the appliances, they all wait on Medicare to justify the purchasing of a medical device?
Currently, and historically, Medicare has paid for most wheelchairs, walkers, things like that for
100%?
people. No, not, but typically about 85%. There are some exceptions, but.
Yeah.
The trend is to force more people to pay for everything in medical care. And as you know, entitlements, that's a whole other show, but the costs of Medicare are skyrocketing, and one of the responses in Washington is to reduce the benefits, and one of the first benefits that is likely to go is
the appliances.
is the home medical equipment.
All right, now we move to the next guy next door. What does he do?
Well, let's see, we have a company that sells reverse mortgages, which is a very popular way for seniors
Is that ethical?
It's very ethical. It can be done unethically, and we advise everyone in our building to be a smart shopper. Don't stop being a smart consumer just because you're
doing
now
that.
shopping for senior care and services.
Yeah. Would you do a reverse mortgage?
Well, I wouldn't be a good candidate for a reverse mortgage.
No, I mean right now, but I mean knowing about the trade of that.
I'll tell you who would be a good candidate. Someone who has relatively small amount of assets except for their home. They want to make their own decisions on how to live out their days. They don't want to go into a nursing home because that's the only way that the government will pay for their care.
Yeah.
They want to stay home or they want to go into an assisted living. They can convert the equity in their home, which has become quite substantial over the past few years, and at least in our area.
One thing I never understand about reverse mortgages, what happens if you take all your money out of the house and you're still alive and you're still in the house? What happens? You start paying rent?
No. That is, I'm not an expert on reverse mortgages, but I do know that if you get the right type of reverse mortgage, you can live in your house until you die, regardless. And it's actuarial based, so that
so they figure
the risk
the run.
That's correct. That's right. So I know that the costs, I believe, are higher than a typical mortgage, but it's a much different product.
Yeah.
And it can
now
guarantee you can live in your home.
next door.
Yes.
What's another one you got?
Well, let's see. We have one of our most successful and exciting things is it's not a single store. We call it the Living Options Showroom. And as far as we know, again, it's the only one of its type in the country.
Living Options?
Senior Living Options.
I usually buy bonds myself.
Okay, well, You couldn't find those here, but these are options. As you know, there are many types of senior living communities, and every time you turn around, it seems like there are more. Starting with 55 plus, then there's independent living, then there's assisted living.
Isn't that a form of discrimination, 55 plus?
I think so.
Oh, okay.
But I don't plan to ever live in a 55 plus community because that's not the option I would choose, but a lot of people do. It's a very popular option. That's for someone who, it's a independent apartment or home living with just a few rules to keep the kids out and maybe a nice clubhouse and so on. But at the other end of the spectrum, you have skilled nursing facilities, which have long been called nursing homes, where people live and get nursing care. But in between, there's so many options. And in this room, we have 14 displays around the room, and each of those has an airport-style backlit transparency on the wall and a rack underneath with brochures and other collateral.
So basically you're selling real estate or something?
Essentially, yeah.
Condos or whatever.
Our company, One Senior Place, rents those spaces out, and we receive revenue from those. And the companies who are there receive exposure to our visitors, but for our customers, the value there, it's a great teaching tool because the number one category of inquiries, why people come to One Senior Place, there are many reasons, but number one every time is they need some information on where it's appropriate for them to live. Where can I live now? I can't take care of my yard anymore, or my mom is leaving the stove on overnight, her memory's starting to go. Where does it make sense for me to live? What are my options? So that's our number one category of inquiry. So this is a terrific teaching tool. We'll do our consultations in that room, and we can point to, well, in your case, this would be a great option, except it's really far from where your kids live, so they probably won't want this one, but it's a good type for you. This is a good one for you now, but with your disease process, in 2 or 3 years, you may not be able to live there anymore, so you might not want to move in there and then have to move right back out and so on. It's a relatively complex decision.
It's a very clever idea that you figured out.
And that's our single biggest.
Now, do you have any more stores left?
Yes, we do. Let's see.
Okay. We should have brought the list.
I should have brought my list. But we have 2 companies that have rented office space to promote new senior living communities that are being developed.
Okay.
One is a CCRC, a continuing care retirement community, and the other one is a brand new community that's being built by a company from North Carolina.
Okay.
And so they've rented office space. The Melbourne Palm Bay Chamber of Commerce has an office there because they are very interested in. It's a regional chamber for that area.
So they synchronize.
That's right.
All the other efforts.
And they know that most of the people who live in our immediate surrounding area are seniors. A very high proportion of them are seniors. So they wanted to have it in a facility that gets visited by seniors when they first move to the area.
All right. Now, how does one get a hold of you? OneSeniorPlace.com?
That's correct. All spelled out.
OneSeniorPlace.com. And you're located where?
We are located in Vieira, Florida, which is essentially North Melbourne in East Central Florida, and we're right off of I-95.
So you go right in off of...
Yes, we're about 2 minutes from the...
right there.
From the exit.
And the hours are?
From 8:30 to 5, Monday through Friday, and we're open 4 hours on Saturday from 10 to 2 because a lot of folks shop for their parents to get help for their parents. They work, so they come in on Saturday.
I would think your hours would be later so that people could get to you after work hours to get items and stuff like that.
We opened, initially we were open till 6, but apparently after work people are not
They're not thinking about that. So Saturday is the day of beginning.
Yes.
Okay, Don Kramer. The name of the organization is One Senior Place. It's in Vieira, Florida, and the phone number is the one here.
That's correct.
Okay,
yes,
I just want to make sure 321-751-6771. So that's the OneSeniorPlace.com. Thank you very much.
Great. Thank you. Glad to be here.
And we'll be back.